Charme, peace and freedom. Welcome. I'm Reverend Dr. Queen Mother Imakhu, and you are watching Shenu Living. I'm so glad to be with you here on another day. I was in the recording studio, and I feel so very blessed because the fact that our library has the facilities to record for free. That's music, um, any kind of audio, and the makerspace is great. So my scheduled time was today, and the library was open late today. So I was there up until the very last minute working on a new track, and I'm just so very, very grateful. I know how much it costs to go into the studio. And um, so give thanks. Um, Abundance is all around. And if we tap into it, if we attract it and then tap into it, then we can find ourselves living lives that are truly rich. Today's topic is going to deal with the money mindset and how it's okay to love money. You should love money. Now, I know a lot of us have been instilled with the whole the misinterpretation of the biblical scripture. People say money is the root of all evil, and no, the the translation, the incorrect translation, is the love of money is the root of all evil, but it really is the love of greed, and um, that's a whole other way of thinking. But from the Kemetic standpoint, love and also abundance go together, because when you're in a harmonic flow, we've been talking these past several days about being in harmony with the universe, with your life path, with your loved ones, with your friends, with your environment. When you're in the divine flow, then you attract things to you that are going to be beneficial to your life. um, Money is definitely one of them. Now, I'm not one of these people that is all about, oh, everybody's got to be filthy rich, because I really believe that it's important to have balance in the world. And it's important for us to recognize if somebody else is in need. Truly, if we are working together on this planet, then nobody's going to be suffering. But unfortunately, there is a lot of suffering that comes because of lack, and because people are selfish, and because people don't like to share. And by the way, if you're vibing with this, if you are trying to change your money mindset and trying to break the patterning of your past, where you are given guilt about having money, or you're being given guilt about not being some greedy son of a gun who is willing to just scam anybody in order to get anything, that's not right either. But please put your experiences here in the chat, and I welcome hearing your feedback. One of the things that we say in the Kemetic tradition is Anuk Ardi. Anuk Ardi. That means I am stable. Let me just put that up here. Anuk Ardi. I am stable and secure. Ardi means stability and security. To be stable and secure. Well, what does that mean? For people who don't have anything, then perhaps they have a different level of what security means. Just having a basic roof over your head, having just basic food, and those meet the basic needs. You need food, clothing, and shelter. When you are in a place of good health, then you have an expanded vision, okay? And then hopefully you're in a place where you'll be able to do better for yourself. There is a lot of programming that's here in the government that is set up to help to give you a leg up. There are programs, though, that are set up to keep you broken. it's important to understand when to properly utilize them in order to get back on your feet or stay afloat, and when then to get out, not to get into the whole belief that you are really getting over if you're letting the government um, fully support you, if you have the opportunity when you're, especially if you're young and able to go out and do for yourself. And I've met plenty of those people who just feel like it's much better to just proclaim that you're only making a certain amount of money so that way you're able to get government assistance, but then you've got all this other money that's flowing. Okay, now, being someone who has, through this pandemic period that we've gone through, truly benefited and been able to get ahead because of rental assistance programs and so forth, I can tell you that it is a good thing. But I also can tell you that this is not something where I choose to, I don't see this as the rest of my life. I know that I have a life path and certain things that I need to achieve. And in order to achieve them, I need money. In order to have the abundance that I was sharing with you the other day, that means I'm going to need to get out here and do what I need to do, so that my family will have uh, something substantial to live on, and so it can be passed on, and also so I can continue to do for my community. When you get to a place where you get a little ahead, then you should be focusing on pouring back into the opportunities that were there that helped you, or pouring back into people who need a leg up. Sister Candy, how are you? How's your health? How are you feeling? It's so good to see you. And by the way, you all, please spread the word. Please share that I am on the air. This is going to be a quick message tonight. I have to say that I don't look down on people who are getting assistance, but I do have a problem when people see that as the golden ticket. You know, I often share the story about how I was teaching about abundance in my yoga class, and so we walked out of class, my students and I, and there was somebody who was handing out Section 8 vouchers. And these folks acted like they had won the lottery. I mean, and they were like, oh my God. They're hugging each other and everything. And it wasn't like, I knew that there were people who would better appreciate and be in need of the vouchers than these folks who were celebrating the way that they were. It shocked me, and I had a lot of feelings about it, and I even had I had an accountant, I call her my former accountant now, who, when I was talking about the fact that I'm going into real estate, she was like, well, you don't need to do that. I mean, I was trying to find something else. She said, just try to go after your second husband's money, blah, blah, blah. This is from a few marriages back, okay? The one you're married to the longest. And, just start seeing if you can go after that. And, real estate is for bored housewives. You wouldn't want to do that, and then I found out the quality of her life. Her life is all about like just barely living, and also taking a whole lot of money under the table. So that way she could just be at that place of just barely living. I'm thinking, you're an accountant. You don't know how to draw abundance, and being at just enough is okay for you. Now, listen, I'm not knocking people who live simply. All right. I mean, I like nice things, but basically I do live a simple life. But I'm not one of those people that goes and buys off the designer rack or any of that stuff. I buy stuff on sale. And even if, I have to really look at, do I really need this? Because I don't like being broke. I don't know how many people do, how many people really, really desire to just be in that state. It's Yeah, it's one thing if you were a guru. And at one point, I figured that that was my life path, that was my destiny. And certainly, gurus, well, some of them live simply. There are others who do live very opulent lives because they're in touch with that flow, right? Then there are the scalpers. We'll get to that. But my life path, according to my birth chart, I'm not supposed to be broke. And I'm not supposed to be around people who make me broke. I'm not supposed to partner with people who don't have that same consciousness. It's not in my chart. And the way that I've been living, because of letting other people pull from me, has been inconsistent with who I am. Now, I'm sure a lot of you can vibe with that. I don't know what all your charts are, but I can tell you that it is a problem when you see your lifestyle at a certain way and then you have somebody in your life who doesn't see it the same way, right? We talked a little about that yesterday, about when people invite you into their private hell and they want you to suffer just like they're suffering. No, there's no joy in suffering. There is wisdom that you glean from suffering, but to live in a perpetual state of suffering is not healthy. Now, how many of you can remember being broke? I mean, broke. I mean, where you're just like scrounging and truly barely getting by, not making it, having to borrow from this person. It's a horrible place to be in. And if you remember the discomfort that you felt when you were in that state, then hopefully, if you internalize that and think about that and remember, then it should compel you to do what you need to do to get out of that state. Now, does that mean that you should do any old thing? No, because not all money is good money. Some people get to a place of desperation where they'll end up just being out there slinging, and just hawking a bunch of illegal stuff, doing deeply illegal things and illicit things just for the sake of lining their pockets, cheating and robbing people. That's not mindfulness. In a mindful society, you realize how what you do impacts others. And also, if you are doing things that are exploitive, then that's hurtful. If you are all about the bottom line of, listen, whatever it takes for me to have my wallet's fat, then that means that you're disconnected as well. The energy of love is the word mer, M-E-R. It is the energy of water. It is one of the words for water. Love, water, flow, economic flow, currents. All of this is important too. The energy waves of what you draw to you, because why? Ultimately, energy and abundance, money and abundance are energy. And you may have a piece of paper that symbolizes this, although hardly anybody carries cash anymore. People will say to me, sometimes, you go to buy something, it's like, well, don't you have cash? I don't. Okay. Everything is done either with your phone or with a card, right? So, you just take your card, you tap, that's it, right? You take out your phone, you can make payments with your phone. We have Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, and, several others that that are attached to our bank accounts. And I have to tell you also, there was a time, not 10 years ago, where I realized I bought into a lot of the negative programming that was fed to me about having money. Having a bank account was like being cursed or cursing yourself. And when I had to start, I just really started examining the various people who were believing that and who were pushing that. some of them were teaching this, but they were living extremely well. Beautiful homes, tailored clothes, expensive tailored clothes, and never in need. But then turning around and preaching to others, well, you shouldn't have. And, teaching lack and making people feel ashamed if they had anything. That's wrong. It's just plain wrong, and it's selfish. But then there's the other side of it where you had people who were pushing the shame of having anything. Oh, you're just a capitalist, you're greedy, and so forth. But then they really didn't have much of anything. That's not good either. If you're on the breadline and telling everybody else, hey, get on the breadline with me, then that's another form of welcoming people into your hell. If you have a family, ideally you don't want them living that way. You don't want to just be in this constant state of dis-ease, if you will. When you have money, you can go to the doctor, even if you have insurance, okay, and you're connected with, whether it is the state insurance or whatever, still it affords you the opportunity to go to the doctor, right? Why? Because it is getting paid for, right? And, even if it's a thing where you like, I'm going to tell you something. I didn't get insurance until 2019. And this is after I got on unemployment. I didn't know I could file for unemployment because I've been so used to working, right? I come from a very hard working, ethical family, right? And who enjoy the value of hard work. Like I shared with you the other day, I seldom saw my grandparents take a vacation. I mean, you talking about working hardworking people, everybody in my family. So I got to the place where here I am dealing with these folks with a different mindset in so-called African consciousness, and they're teaching the whole broke philosophy thing and how you should be afraid. Oh, the world's coming to an end. The banks, they're evil, and you're buying into X, Y, and Z if you get a bank account. And after a while, I said, this ain't working for me. So I went and got a bank account and felt so good about it, right? Now, I'm not sitting here saying I'm rich yet. I'm rich in a lot of ways. I attract abundance to me. If I need something, I focus on aligning myself with the source and also telling myself that it's good for me to have it. And it comes. When I let things get in the way of that energy flow, the connectedness, then things get jacked up. I was starting to say though, when I went on unemployment, because I didn't even know that I could. As a teacher, I didn't know that I could file for unemployment in the summer. All right. I found out and got it, but then also was able to get insurance, which afforded me the opportunity to have so many things, regular dental care, just being able to go to doctors and specialists and so forth. And so that's another form of abundance. Yes, I'm very grateful for that, because in my life, everything had to be out of pocket. And it was difficult. So anyway, so in getting a bank account, it was a major step because I had not had one some years before. And that's because emotionally, I had let myself get to a place where in one of my relationships, I was fleeced, okay, and had such emotional ties to that. I mean, I stopped using everything. I mean, I don't have any credit cards right now because I don't believe in using credit cards. Although now they're saying you have to have that to establish credit, but there are ways around everything. But anyhow, so I had to really work on changing my money mindset, because also this person who fleeced me was somebody who was always talking about, well, one day we're going to have money. One day we're going to have money. And at first I believed him until I realized that no, he basically was living off of me. And that it wasn't going to happen. getting anything with him was just not going to happen. So I've had to push the reset button a number of times. And looking back on all the times when things were just flowing, right? And the safe, good feeling that you have when you know that things are flowing and you're able to attract to yourself what you need, whether it is through tangible goods, whether it's through an exchange of energy or energetic goods, whether it is that you're able to just pull the money out yourself and pay for it. Having that assurance, Anuk Aradi, I am secure, I am safe, and affirming that for yourself over and over again, so you can come against some of the programming that you might have gotten as a child. How many of you have heard, we're broke, or broke is a joke, or my money is funny? What sayings did you hear growing up? Those are the ones I heard. And so finding yourself to get to a place of worthiness is going back to the previous lessons that we've had, and knowing also that your abundance, not your greed, because greed is based on fear and lack and fear of lack. But abundance philosophy is based on knowing that there's plenty here on the planet for everyone. And that, yes, we are entitled to be okay, to live okay. And, I'll tell you, there is a major campaign that is coming up, a march on Washington called the Poor People's Campaign. I have a problem with still using the word poor. Economically challenged, financially challenged. But when people hear poor, they think of somebody who is in a perpetual state of poverty. You can go through your periods of having great economic challenges, but if you're programmed basically to call yourself this and buy into this definition of being a person of perpetual lack, then it's going to keep you stuck. So I avoid using the term poor. I don't think that it's helpful to us at all. I think what is really more helpful is to tell us how we can get on our feet, how we can get abundance. You got money, you go here and there and do all kinds of things, but then how'd you do it? When I do workshops or phone consultations with other artists, we talk business, right? And knowing how to sustain yourself based on your craft is important. We talked yesterday also about the hangers-on, the people who like to hang on to your coattails and have not really paid their dues. That's another thing, paying your dues, right? If you're always taking the short way, then you don't really have a full understanding of how to truly support yourself, because the fact that you have been basically cheating off of other people's papers. All right. It's like when people do that in school. You're not really learning anything if you're cheating off of somebody else. So then what happens when you need to be able to sustain yourself, right? Working hard, like the story that I shared yesterday from the I Ching, the 11th Gua, and maintaining is really, it's a blessing. Was that yesterday or the day before? Days are kind of rolling one into the other. So I'm not saying you have to knock yourself out, although sometimes you have to. That sacrifice in order for you to be able to build. Okay. I know when I get in real estate school, basically I'm going to be immersing myself in the studies because I want to pass the test and I want to get going right away. And I have to announce I'm coming up on a year of being seizure free. I'll be able to start driving again, and I'm so excited about that. With that, I maintained consistency in my new health routine and staying off of the medications that were really destroying my life. And this is all based on, again, wanting better for myself and being consistent with what I envision for myself and who I envision myself to be and who I know myself to be. People treat you differently also when you are self-sufficient. They really do. They have more respect for you. Whether they like you or not, that's a whole other thing, but that's not what matters. If they treat you with respect, then you have another whole way of doors being open to you, and for you to maintain the lifestyle that you want. Now, does this mean that everybody treats you with respect? Not necessarily. Peace and blessings, Brandon. How are you this evening? And you see, I heard the same, which can also curse to be without. Yeah. Okay. So explain that, because I missed where you chimed in with that. Okay. So living a humble lifestyle does not necessarily mean that you have to be broke. You can be very well to do and be a beautifully aligned spiritual person who still knows how to give, how to share, but also how to be able to maintain and also build, because um, this is a necessary component for us. Now we look at the Necharu, who are of wealth. People automatically think of Het Heru. Everybody wants to be Het Heru, just like with the Orishas. Everybody wants to be Oshun, right? The ones with the great abundance. But there are more than that. The door opener is Beset. The one who guides you through the door is Besu. And they are tied to the Dwa people. The Dwa people were the little people of Kemet, who had the gift of levitation, of making jewelry, and being able to seek out and attain and maintain great wealth from what they knew that was in the earth. Okay. Then you also have Wajet. Talked about her the other day because we honored her procession day. Waj means green, and it means wealth. The concept of Wajet is that your health is your wealth, but also that there is the abundance of the earth connected, with growing things that are green, and then also the abundance of water. And water energy is known as wajur or watur, which is where the word water came from. And so with that, it is a limitless ocean, and you have currents. All right. What is money called? Currency, right? So you have all these currents. Wajur is the equivalent of agwe in the Vodun tradition, and a few other traditions besides, in Dominican Voodoo, Haitian Vodun, and others. And then you have Reninette, who represents the wealth of the harvest. And then, of course, Bastet, because she is home and hearth, and she is the abundance of the home. That is the stable home, that is the beautiful, well-maintained home, and it is the home of people who are sitting on a sizable bank account. Okay. So just to name a few of the guardians. Oh, Hatmehit, of course, and her nickname is Neferet. Neferet means good, beautiful, and it also means to be successful. Brandon says, words or saying like broke is a joke. I'm broke. Money is burning a hole in your pocket can be forms of a curse. Yes, that's right. That can leave you without finances or in a perpetual cycle of flow of going going flow. Okay, so talking about money coming in and out. Yes, that's very true. That's why you have to be very careful about what you say. If you are constantly saying I'm broke, then that's going to keep you broken. My money is funny. Why? Um, you want to affirm things to yourself to let you to tell yourself that you're okay. And even if you're not feeling okay, you're going to be okay within a short amount of time because you have the capacity within yourself to attract what you need as long as you believe it's so. I talked the other day about how some people are really quick to throw that word bougie around. And I think that speaks more to people who are threatened by people who maintain a certain lifestyle, or are afraid that they can't attain it because they secretly want it. And so the big thing, aside from doing affirmations, is to create a goal or a plan. Um, there's several words. Chess is one of the words for to plan. And like in a chess game where you are, how about that? Where you are, moving pieces from a strategic point and doing forethought. It's the same thing when you are goal setting and when you are planning, not only what you're going to do, what you're going to do with your money, what you're going to invest in, and also recognize that if you are an entrepreneur, especially, that you need to reinvest in yourself on a perpetual basis and make good choices about what that will be. From time to time, you may need to get, say, I'm looking at my camera right now. It's a 4K, but I need an 8K. Okay, so as soon as I'm able to, I'm going to invest in myself and get an 8K camera. Um, so many other things. So what I want to leave you with is the idea of perpetual flow. Oh, listen, if you want abundance, don't call on Sekhmet. Sekhmet is the last one you want to call on because the fact that she dries things up. That's her purpose. So don't call on her for money. There were times when I would teach classes, and as soon as I started teaching about Sekhmet, everybody went broke. Everybody. I mean, every single class that I had, everybody went broke because she dries things up. So I've learned that if I had to teach about her, that we would like do a real quick in and out of Sekhmet lessons, because the fact that she is not about abundance. She is about removing stuff. So that includes in your wallet and your bank account. People found their assets frozen, all kinds of like wild things just out of nowhere. So you want to keep that in mind. There is a video that has been out here on YouTube and out in the bootleg circulation from a popular presenter who was saying that Sekhmet is who you call on for wealth, and that is one of the biggest lies, I swear to you. And that's a big mistake. If you want to purify your life, okay. Also, somebody else not to call on it on when it comes to the wealth piece is Merit Seger, she who loves silence. Why? Because she's associated with the energy of the guru, and it is the guru who's the ascetic, who is happy to have very little because they spend most of their time meditating, praying, doing yoga, and getting in touch with the divine in order to raise their own vibrations, but also they're generally praying for the community. So it's not like they're needing to have a whole lot, and they're cool with that. But I'm just telling you right now, she's not another one that you want to call on if you want some loot. Okay. That's your that Chardonnay. Um, Good Lord. I used to have everybody's Rens memorized. Their Renu. Priestess Anukwale. Peace and blessings. Queen Mother Anukwale. Give thanks and praise. So, for this summer, as we are focusing on wellness. We also want to focus on our financial wellness as well, so that we're able to rise above our circumstances, not have any shame about it, and not let anybody try to deter you from accomplishing your goals. Anybody who tries to shame you into wanting more and being better and doing it from a healthy standpoint, people are trying to pull you away from that. You need to stop and look at why they're in your lives. All right. Who you think you are? You want too much for yourself. You think too much of yourself. You go on in the corner and think that, okay? Yeah, you stay over there. I'll be over here doing what I need to do. Okay. I feel like I have a lot of time to make up for. But by the same token, I also feel like I'm at the perfect time in my life for things to really finally find. Well, they're flowing, right? And truthfully, I had a reading about 30 years ago. Was it 30? What year is this? It was in the 90s. Yeah. And I was told, actually by a couple of sources, your wealth is going to come to you, and your notoriety is going to come to you later in life. But you're going to have a hard road to hoe until that time. But when you get there, it's going to be glorious. And I'm here. I claim it. One of the things I've also been doing has been paying off a lot of debt. Some of it wasn't even mine. I won't even go there. But, making sure that I take care of the various debt issues that have come up, especially from not having what you need. And, yeah, okay, I need to borrow this. All right. Or people not paying you. And so then you find yourself jammed up. Listen, I'm leaving all of that behind. But in the meantime, I'm fulfilling my 8 by, paying off the debts that I need to pay off. So that way I can be at peace. The other person can be at peace, and so that we can have harmonious flow. Give thanks and praise. So we say Anukmer, which means I am love, but that also means I am flowing in love. Okay. And because you are love, that means you're attracting love, and you're attracting good energy, and you're attracting good wealth to you as well. So just those very, very simple prayers and mantras, or hekau, we call them, of Anuk Ardi, I am safe and secure, and Anuk Mer, I am love. So also doing what you love is really important. If you're attached to the energy of loving what you do, then greater abundance comes. Now you have to make sure that from a business standpoint that you know what you're doing, say, especially if you're an entrepreneur, so it can't just be like, oh, I love doing this and the world's going to open to me. Sometimes it happens. Okay. But still, after the world is open to you, then what? I talked yesterday about the importance of going into the room and bringing certain people with you, but there's some people that don't belong there. Make sure that if the door is open to you to get into an upper room that's going to take you to another place, that you are ready. We say Anuk Saped, which means I am prepared. I am prepared. I'm ready. I am not going to mess up this blessing. I'm accepting the abundance that is coming to me and this opportunity, because Saped also means opportune times. Okay. And that you are ready for this moment, right? So that you don't sabotage yourself once you're in it. Why? Because somewhere deep inside of you, you're feeling as though you're not worth it. Back to the worthiness issue. Believing that you are worth it. Believing that you deserve to have a harmonious, flowing life, as opposed to a life of isfet, which is chaos. Now, let me explain for a minute about chaos too, because sometimes it takes some chaos in order to rebuild. I mentioned Sekhmet before. Her energy is of purging, but also it will remove, it's like when you have a building that is raised to the ground and you've got all this rubble. Okay, she is the one who not only raises the building, but that she removes the energy in order to set the stage for Ptah to come in and place a new foundation and a new building. Yes? And the fusing of their energies brings about Nefertum, who is the beautiful lotus child and who's also connected to wealth and the arts and lovely perfumes, all things that are new and just sweet and wonderful. Okay? Uh, So yeah, sometimes chaos is needed. Like with Nebuchadnezzar, her energy is of degeneration, which is what comes when something dies. You have a plant that dies and it just goes back into the earth. You have other things that need to decompose and then feed something else in order to be reborn into something new and glorious. Letting the old self go and understanding that as it leaves you, and it may look like you've got some chaos going on as you're moving from one energy to the other. Actually, what you're doing is experiencing rebirth. When a baby is born, the mother, she is dealing with what? Birth pains. Those labor pains ain't no joke. Okay. But through that temporary time of suffering and where everything feels so horrible, when it's all over with, maybe because the body is flooded with all these endorphins, as I'm told, there's the feeling of just love and wow, I would do this again. So um, chaos is sometimes necessary when it comes to creating new orders in governments, in local government, in new organizations. Something may completely implode in order for things to be rebuilt. But dwelling in chaos and attracting and creating situations where you're in perpetual chaos is not healthy. There's a difference between that and the rebirthing process. Many of us, because we have gotten used to being in broke status or in a place of limitations, will continuously put ourselves back into the state of chaos and the state of lack, because it's hard to get used to that new feeling of having and things working out okay and more than okay. Wow, I want to do this and I have the money for it. I want to travel, I have the money for it. I'd like to go to this restaurant, I have the money for it. I want to just have a day where I just go to the beach, and I'm okay with that too. Instead of feeling limited, let us remember the word that we use, one of the words that we use for God is netcher, which means no limitations. He or she of no limitations. Netcheru are the limitless ones. We believe that those energies reside within us. By tapping into them and opening them, we're able to see that we can align ourselves with what we need and also with a lot of things that we want. You should also examine if it is necessary or a good thing for you to want some of the things that you want. Because if you get in a place where you're just like manifest, 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 and it's such a popular word now, it's been around for about what, 30, 40 years, I'd say. But now, it's just so popular. Everybody's like, oh, I can manifest. I'm going to manifest this. I'm going to manifest this. But it is all about your mindset. But what are you attracting? Not all situations are good situations. You want to be in alignment with your divine purpose. You want to make sure that you don't let yourself get pulled far off a field. Although there's always a wisdom lesson, no matter what happens, if you tune into it, right? But the bottom line is you don't want to lose your way as far as why you're here and attracting to yourself what you need in order to fulfill your mission on the planet. You have the right to ask the divine for that. You can ask the universe for that. Listen, I'm here. I'm supposed to be doing such and such, and I need some scratch. I need for you to provide the abundance for me so that way I'm not suffering. And so I'm able to live in a way that is comfortable for me and is not being flashy or ostentatious, but where I am comfortable, and I know that my loved ones will be comfortable, and where I am safe. You have that right to ask that. If you open yourself up to that, then it will happen. The divine alignment, the energies within us that are of limitless potential. Anuk Nitcher, I am limitless. Anuk Nitcheru, I am of the limitless ones. My energies within me are without limitations. Now, this is really interesting because, yesterday we were talking about boundaries and the importance of honoring boundaries. In this situation, it is a matter of understanding that there's a difference between boundaries and then throwing up a roadblock of your own making simply because you think that you can't go someplace or you can't have something. This personal denial based on what may have been instilled in you by someone else or programmed from some other group that you may have been in, or maybe some of the stuff that you've read in the news. This society is set up to make people feel as though they're unworthy. Plastic surgery up to wazoo, people chasing after items somebody else has, you have to have it. That whole keeping up with the Jones thing is still real and relevant today, but it's something we need to put down, put away, because you can find yourself in debt in trying to live like somebody else, or even to live above your means, or even to not even figure out, well, what do I like? Maybe my neighbor has this kind of furniture and I think that's the kind that I should have. And then you get it and you get it in your house and you're like, I don't like this stuff. What made me think I wanted this? Reiki Emebi, know yourself. That is like the main place to start, in knowing yourself. And what does that mean? That means knowing, again, what your alignment, what is in alignment for you, what pleases you, and what makes sense for you. We say Sharme, which means peace and freedom. At the root, the word means to be peaceful because you are free to do what you please. That doesn't mean that you just act crazy and get away with it. Like this sister who walked down the street the other day with no bra and her shirt just wide open and just bouncing, okay? Little teeny, like almost thong underwear on, and she's just strutting. And somebody caught it on video. There were two cops that this woman walked past, and the cops went, like, did you see that? And they said, excuse me, can we get a word with you? And she turned around, she said, what? Y'all can't arrest me? You gonna arrest me? What? I ain't doing nothing wrong. What am I doing? And she just walked off. And so they had to slowly walk behind her to try to get her to realize, you can't walk around naked, okay? Not here. Yeah, so some people be bugging, right? But to be free to do what you please, a lot of that comes from having the right abundance. I'm not talking about, oh, well, this person is rich and so they get away with whatever. I'm just saying you're able to do for yourself. I'm sick and tired of dealing with landlord situations. What's the remedy? Have my own. Own my own. That way I create my own destiny in a way that is not only advantageous for me, but also advantageous for those coming up behind me. No more problems. Okay? Doing for yourself. And, the stress that comes with not having enough money. Oh, Lord. That causes so many health problems when you have financial challenges. And wow. 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 Yeah. So set your goals, Make your plans, Jess, Jess, and put them into action, Eri, but with a sense of duty. Eri also means duty. It means action, but it also means duty. And with a positive belief that it is going to happen in the way that you need to. Chef Nafer is good energy. Chef Nafer. Yes, yes. Name it and claim it. And belief, I am worth it. I am Anouk. And we have Anouk Mer. I am love. I am the flow of loving energy. Mer is energy. Mer. Now, Mer is also associated with the hoe that was used in ancient Kemet in order to be able to cut down their crops. But see, the other side of that is love is worth cultivating, and it takes cultivation. If you're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, then that means that you've got to cultivate your abundance. All right. And also be in a circle of people who are willing to share with you. May I know my friends that I may share my goods with them, as the book of Anksha Shanki says. And you're able to keep the energetic flow going in communities where money stays in the community. Um, Rotating, going around. With some communities, it's like 27 times before it even leaves the community. In some of our communities, we get money and it just bounces right out because we go and spend it in other places instead of cultivating the abundance right where we are, because we don't believe that we're worth it when indeed we are. We find ourselves feeding into so many other people and lining their pockets instead of helping to build the community. Self-love. Self-love. Merni Jess means I love myself. Merni Jess, I love myself. Kaper ni Jess. And you can write all these down. I create myself. As you're drinking your water, speak these things into your water so that the water molecules will change and carry that message to the water that is inside of your body, so that you can really start believing that about yourself in every cell. Indeed. The love of greed is not good. The love of security is. And especially when you are creating it of yourself. Now, there are people, of course, who have put in their work. They've got their retirement money. They may be veterans, and the veterans certainly deserve to have the money that the government should be giving them. Absolutely. Others who have worked and worked for years, and these are supposed to be the golden years. You don't want them to be full of stress because of the fact that you're just stretching your money. This is actually something that I just spoke about today, as far as the artist community. The idea that we're supposed to be broke artists and we're supposed to be starving artists. I don't buy into that at all. If you believe that, you're going to stay that way. You have to think of yourself as a business person. And in addition to that, because the fact that art is so valuable, you should recognize the fact that you have a commodity that is needed in this world in every aspect. That makes your work valuable. It makes you valuable. Okay. All right. And so with that, if anybody has questions, because we're at 55 minutes, I said it wasn't going to be long. Any questions? As you take care of yourself this summer and you remember that your health is your wealth, remember that also means your financial wealth as well. If you are one of those people who has to relearn your values because you learned that cheating was the only way to get ahead, stabbing people in the back was the only way to get ahead, and just completely just broadsiding somebody was the only way to get ahead, then you really have to, or no, you should, okay, ideally you should re-examine, you should reprogram yourself and get around some people who are going to help you to sustain a new way of thinking so that you're no longer a danger to society and truthfully yourself. Nobody likes to be around cheaters. You can't trust people who cheat. If that's all you were exposed to growing up, then listen, that means that you got to be the change. You should. Once you come into a new level of awareness, then you should want to work to change so that you are not like the rest of your family if you never ever witnessed parents who earned a good solid living and who were not caught up in a lot of illegal activities. And so some of you, I understand, you are doing that. You know, maybe you had a really rough way of going, and so you've gotten yourself in the church in order to surround yourself with other people who are focused on moving higher and, you know, drawing closer to God, who have a regimented routine that's going to help you to stay on the right path. And also where you are constantly reminded, because of the fact that you are a child of the divine, that it's okay for you to have. I don't hear anybody preaching poverty. You should be poor. You should be broke. You should have nothing. That's not who we are. That's not where we came from. Okay. All right. It is 57 minutes. I am Reverend Queen Mother Imakhu. It's been my joy and pleasure to be here with you on Shenu Living with another topic that hopefully will be beneficial to you and that you can apply to your life. Take what you need, leave the rest. And please share this. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not. And also sign up for my Facebook book at Imakhu, facebook.com/Imakhu. You can visit my website at www.imakhu.info. And also you can go to shenuliving.org. All right. Have a really wonderful and peaceful night. Maria, much love. Heri, be at peace. Teni, be accountable. Jebewi, be merciful. Appropriately merciful. Not an enabler. Not someone who is going to give somebody a pass who doesn't deserve it, because of the fact that you go back to accountability. But mercy is to be extended in times where you know that somebody really should deserve another chance. Some people don't. This is where you have to have discretion so that you know who does. And then, of course, apply appropriate discernment and discretion to yourself. Reswine Chem. Sweet dreams.